These ProTaper handlebars have been strategically placed in the background of quite a few videos, in a not so subtle attempt to tease you guys. However, the only person it actually teased was me, and maybe one other guy. But nevertheless, I've wanted to install these motocross bars on an MT-09 ever since my first grey MT. But that one didn't stick around long enough to get the upgrade. In the last upgrades video, we solved a few pedantic problems. Propping the MT up on some paddock stands, installing the LCD flip kit to make the display black, and rid the bike of the passenger pegs and stock mirrors, which means now we can move on to the next set of problems. Mainly the radiator that looks like an afterthought from the side, bland intake stickers, and silver upright bars, if you can call those problems. And obviously, we won't be tackling them in that order. Thank you to the Ridge for sponsoring this video. With the Ridge wallet's compact design, it's right up any biker's street, taking up next to no space compared to an old 90s wallet. However, with space for up to 12 cards and cash and over 30 designs like lightweight carbon fiber or my daily driver aluminium navy, there is no compromising. Follow the link in the description and use code CHAOS10 to get 10% off today. As elegant as these Yamaha decals look, and as sad as it is to remove such beautiful raised letters, there are far more creative options to have on the fake intakes. Like this white MT-09 design, which is the start of my commitment to a black and white theme. I stuck the Yamaha letters on the cupboard to be fondly remembered, and the usual worry of placing stickers on skew began. Although the spacing paper helped a lot, the weird shape of the intakes still made things tricky. Except with the magic of editing, the stress of skew stickers swiftly moved on to the easy but fiddly job of installing these aluminium radiator side covers. I'm hoping they turn the textbook boring radiator into something a bit more appealing. But that's enough of assembling things. Disassembly is more up my street, which is precisely where the handlebar process begins. Everything has to be removed from the handlebars, including the stubborn left-hand grip that was eventually persuaded to evacuate, control switches, clutch lever, cable ties, and then I could loosen off the clamps and remove them to be able to slide the throttle tube off the bar without having to disconnect the throttle cables, because that is never fun. Which left the bike looking rather strange, although a lot more aerodynamic. And this was the first time you could see how different the two bars actually are. Besides being a nicer color, the main differences are the width and the rise of them, with the new ones having less of a bend and therefore being a little bit lower. The good news is that these Evo bars are the identical diameter to the stock bars, so all that has to be done is cut them down to length, drill the holes for the switches and throttle tube to slot into, and finally thread the ends of the bars for the bar ends. Which is the part I was dreading the most, although it did mean I got to buy a pretty big tap to cut the threads. It all started with the easiest step, since the bars are so kindly already marked on the ends, making cutting them down to length a breeze. I decided to take a little off each end, which still left them slightly longer than stock. Since I was cutting the ends off, and I've never tried to thread anything in my life, I decided to practice on one end before cutting it off, and I learned some valuable information in the process. The much needed practice session made me realize that I had a messy job ahead of me, and everything was going to be made more difficult by the rogue vise. However, since I don't know where it's going to live yet, I didn't have the option of bolting it down. Before I could tap the end of the handlebars, they needed to be drilled out slightly for the tap to work. And the process went like this: lubricate, drill, clean the bit, clean the bars, and repeat, as I tried to keep it as straight as possible. After a quick blast to get all the metal filings out, I had to officially commit to threading the ends. In theory, the process seems easy. Again, keep it lubricated while driving the tap into the handlebars, and frequently backing it off to keep the threads clear of metal filings. But it was a relentless process, as I was pretty sure it was going to go wrong any second and ruin the handlebars completely. But just as I was about to give up, things picked up. I can't believe it actually works. I was just about to give up, and now I made my very own thread. They grow up so fast. That's never gonna get boring. This was all the motivation I needed to continue, and I pressed on, eventually ending up with the perfect threads that I created all by myself. The last step before reassembly was drilling the holes for the switches, which required more precision than I usually possess. But a lot of measuring later and a quick drilling session, the handlebars were ready to begin their life on the MT-09. Fortunately, the assembly went far smoother than I ever expected, and I was even able to use my bar ends in conjunction with my bar end mirrors, thanks to the conduit trick someone shared with me on Instagram.
Okay, these are most definitely wider than the stock bars. Although I made them only fractionally wider on each end than the stock bars, I guess it does add up, because you can most definitely feel that they are wider. The height also feels much more natural for somebody shorter like me. However, my mirrors are in the wrong place. Somebody clearly put them further away and lower down.
A good-looking bike is all in the details, and I love how the black bar inconspicuously lies beneath the black switches and looks super clean between the risers and amongst the darker dash. Not to mention the cheeky yellow ProTaper logo casually complementing the gold forks. The radiator blends in a lot better, with another accent for me to appreciate, and the intakes look more eye-catching, although a bit less elegant. And this is the first step towards changing the color away from purple. But anyway, let me know what you think of the bars and other additions. Subscribe so you don't miss the upcoming color change, and I'll see you on the next ride.